one of the top 10,000 prognosticators in all of the community. Jimmy Toots Holmes.
Just the community?
Toots' Tips brought to you by the Huddle House, and I understand you're going to the Huddle House, the Halloween bash in costume.
Well, I wanted to, but they told me, I went out there Wednesday for our Wednesday breakfast, and they told me they wanted to bring people in, not run them off.
Oh.
So if I didn't mind, would I please just sort of, stay away? But sort of helped them out a little bit with their project they got going on out there.
5 to 7 Monday night.
Yeah. Me and my guys I play golf with, we all donated a little, and so I hope that goes over big. I know Doug and them have been doing this for more than 1 year, or maybe several years now, and they looking forward to it, and I hope the kids enjoy what they do for them.
He sure was harassing you yesterday about your picks, and I tried to cover for you.
9-3 this
9-3, and he asked me. He said, "Is Toots getting the job done, or I need to pull the plug on it?" And I said, "He's doing good. He's 59-24 overall."
Well, I think that'll play. Of course,
it's over 50%, ain't it?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to speak with him. He don't get out there on Wednesdays when I'm there. I never see him. He's probably still laid up in the bed while we're getting prepared to, for the day ahead. But we had a great meal. Of course, we always do. Anytime you go out there, you're going to get a great meal. And Miss Cheryl always pretty much waits on us when we get out there, and she does a fantastic job. But so does Tammy and Kelly and Amy and Portia and Wakia, and
they've worked there forever, haven't they?
They have been there a long, long time. Just good people. They're friendly. They greet you when you walk in the door, and if you leave there hungry, it's your own ding-dong fault.
Hey, listen, before we get to Toots' Tips, for the last forever years, Toots and I have always talked about this time of the year about the Marble City Classic. No Marble City Classic this year or for the foreseeable future.
Well, I don't know how long that thing's going to sort of stay idle. Jim, I think just the classification and the numbers has really played a big part in this. Comer, we did their game last week against Beulah. They had 11 kids playing and 6 on the sideline. Yeah. I mean, you can't compete with 5A schools, 4A schools with those kind of numbers. I feel for Mike Battle. This is supposed to be the week for the Marble City Classic. I sure feel for Mike. Be something different. They played in their last game tonight against Calera, and the way the lineup has came up for the playoffs, they play Calera again next week. They play them here tonight, and they'll be over at Calera next week to play them. And B.B. Comer, I guess you could call it, starting a rivalry with the Federal Wolves. They'll be down at Farm Links Field tonight to take on John Limbaugh's Federal Wolves. So it's different. In my lifetime, I didn't think I would visualize B.B. Comer and Sylacauga not playing. When I came through school, even in the first grade, that was a big thing, the bonfires and the pep rallies and the parades and all, and I'm sure it's going to be, a lot of people don't like it. My personal gut feeling is I thought it was a good move by Mike Battles and B.B. Comer, just due to the fact it's been, 12 or 15 years since they've actually even competed.
Yeah, he mentioned yesterday that combined Childersburg and Sylacauga, which they dropped both of those this year, was like 35-0. They hadn't won a game against either one of those teams in 35 tries straight.
Well, that ought to tell you something. Numbers will get you every time.
And he also said, and it's kind of ironic, that the last game B.B. Comer won was against Fayetteville last year. That's a long time.
Yeah, you and I talked about that the other day while we were in the press box, and I was thinking back, I was trying to remember the last game they won, and then as you touched on now, against the Federal Wolves, and that's been quite a while.
Yeah.
Quite a while.
Toots at 9-3 last week. The only upset to really think about was Ohio State being beaten by Penn State.
Boy, I'm telling you, that really shocked me. I just... I don't know.
Shocked Ohio State.
Yes, it did. It hurt them a little bit. It may keep them out of that Final Four if you got 4 teams: Yorkshire and Alabama, Clemson. if they run the table and stay undefeated, they may be the Ohio State may be on the outside looking in just due to that one loss. And I forgot about Michigan. You can throw them in. They play Michigan State this week, so I think they'll stay unbeaten. And so it may have really cost Ohio State more than just a loss.
Let's get to the matchups. We begin tonight with a surprising team in the top 25. Number 22 Navy as at South Florida.
Don't drop the anchors, old boy. They got a pretty good football team. I like them. They beat Notre Dame. Who did they beat?
They've only lost one game. Navy has, and so they're a solid football team.
Yeah, they upset somebody they weren't supposed to beat. And I can't for the life of me remember who it was, but
they beat Houston. Remember?
Houston, that's who it was. And I think at the time Houston was ranked number 6 in the country. So take the midshipment.
All right, Saturday, another surprise team that's just entered the top 10 is West Virginia, and West Virginia is at Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State hadn't played that well, but they're capable of upsetting West Virginia.
Well, they are, but I don't think it'll happen. The musket, the guy with the coonskin hat on and running around with the musket and the buckskins on, he'll have a large time. Are they playing that in Oklahoma, or? Oh, and it really makes no difference.
That guy that Boone Pickens guy, he owns everything out there, and that stadium's named after him. And so, but take West Virginia over Okie State. Number 2 Michigan at Michigan State. Michigan State is having an awful year.
Boy, I'm telling you, they started off, they were like ranked in the top 15 or 20.
Semifinals last year.
Yeah, but I don't know what's happened. They fell on some hard times, and Michigan will probably take huge advantage of this on Saturday. And
would it not be something, though, for Michigan State fans to hang their hat on if they upset Michigan?
It would be. Of course, it's a rivalry game, in-state rivalry. Ain't going to happen.
Okay. Number 2 Michigan over Michigan State. They've changed the name of the Florida-Georgia matchup. It's not the largest cartel party in the world now. It's something else. But number 14 Florida and Georgia play in Jacksonville Saturday.
Well, that game's been going on for a long, long time in Jacksonville, Florida. And as you touched on, it's always been called the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. And it will still be the same thing. It'll just change terminology. Terminology may change a little bit. Georgia, I don't know about that bunch. They
were off last week.
Yeah, and Vandy, but the last time they played, Vanderbilt had their way with them and beat them between the hedges, and that's a pretty good chore to do in Athens, Georgia. But the Florida Gators in Jacksonville, Florida, although they're playing in their home state, it's called a rivalry. I think Florida wins the football game.
All right, Florida over Georgia. Baylor, ranked number 8, and nobody thought Baylor, after all the stuff that's happened out there with the Title IX or whatever that's called going on. They play Texas at Royal Texas Memorial Stadium, and Texas just can't seem to get over the mountain.
Well, I'm going to tell you, the truck is ready to load him up. And I'm talking about Charlie Strong, and this tonight or Saturday won't help matters out a bit. Baylor will beat Charlie Strong and the Texas Longhorns.
All right, Mark Richt, who's at Miami now, they were undefeated a few weeks ago. Now they've lost everything since. They will play at Notre Dame Saturday.
Well, Jim, it's probably a rivalry, intersectional rivalry game.
Used to be really big.
Yes, it did. I'll tell you, they're playing in South Bend. Is that correct? Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I look for Notre Dame. Has fell on some hard times. When the game we saw to start the year off when they played Texas, we thought, boy, that both them schools really had a great football program. Texas beating Notre Dame. Miami will do the same.
All right, take the Hurricanes over Notre Dame in South Bend Saturday. That's on NBC. One of the 4 semifinalists, if the season ended now, number 4 Washington at number 17, Utah in Salt Lake.
Yep. Well, I'm going to tell you, you might as well say bark, bark. Those Huskies are for real.
Indeed they are. Take Washington over number 17, Utah. They used to call their the basketball team or the football team, used to call them the Running Utes.
Yeah, yeah. That wasn't Utah, was it?
I don't know. It sounded like it. Anyway, you're taking Washington over Utah.
Yes, sir.
Number 7, Nebraska, playing number 11, Wisconsin at Camp Randall Stadium.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I was watching the news last night, and where they having some controversy with some people out there at the school about some mess that's going on. Camp Randall is a hard place to beat Wisconsin. The Corn Shuckers, they'll get it this week.
So you don't believe Nebraska can upset Wisconsin?
No, I do not. Well, Nebraska, I think, is ranked a little higher than Wisconsin.
Yeah, they're 7.
But
remember Tom Osborne up there?
Yes, I do. That's when they had the Rogers kid and all that bunch out there, and had a Heisman winner. And
Wisconsin over Nebraska. Tennessee and South Carolina. South Carolina just did get by UMass last week.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, the old hound dog he'll be bargaining it up. Where's that game?
That's in Columbia.
It don't make no difference. They'll take the dog.
Why do you want to know where it was at then?
Well, if it was in Knoxville, there would be 2 or 3 dogs a howling. Maybe they're going to go to Columbia. It's just going to be 1 dog a howling, and that'll be old Smokey.
All right.
I remember Doug Layton. I did a show with him several years ago now, and he told me there was only one time he ever wanted to be cruel to an animal, and it was old Smokey when they beat Alabama. But anyway. Tennessee wins a football game.
Big game in the ACC, number 3 Clemson and number 12 Florida State.
Well, I think Florida State's trying to turn the corner a little bit, but this is a huge corner they got to turn. That's at Doak Campbell Field in Tallahassee, Florida. And when they throw the spear down and the people go crazy and go wild and do all their things, they're going to be disappointed once again. The Clemson Tigers will beat the breath out of them.
One of the craziest guys, one of the craziest coaches in college football is this Leach guy out at Washington State. They play Oregon State in Corvallis Saturday night, and Washington State, they're playing pretty good football right now.
Well, they are, but this guy, where was he? He was at Texas Tech or one of those schools when the Crabtree guy. And they had a great football program, and I saw them upset Texas that year. But anyway, I think I can go with. I think I'm just going to have to go with Washington State.
You're going to Washington State,
yeah.
Okay. He's the guy. Leach is the one accused that coach of stealing their signals and stuff. He said they cheat every year.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. You tell me one that don't, and I'll be happy to praise them.
All right, number 15, Auburn. If we roll the days back, and we were talking after game 3 or so in the season, who would have given Auburn much of a chance for Coach Malzahn, first of all, to keep his job, and for another reason, Auburn to be ranked in the top 20?
Well, they rank 15th right now. Kevin Steele has done a great job with their defensive program over there. I don't know what Brett Lashley, where he's calling all the plays now, what that done for him. It took a little pressure off of Malzahn, and he said he wanted to turn that over to him, and where he could just do his thing and be a head football coach. Lashley's done a good job with it, but I think Kevin Steele has really brought their defense around to where they can compete with about anybody in the country right now. They're playing well. If they get after Kelly tomorrow evening, I think it's a 5 o'clock start. They get after Kelly pretty well. Carl Lawson, he's done good with the pass rush, and the big guy up front, number 1, he's done a good job of putting pressure on the passer. Kelly's a pretty tough nut to crack, though, but I think Auburn wins a football game in Oxford, Mississippi.
Well, Auburn with a fantastic running game, and Ole Miss with the worst running defense
yeah.
in the conference, and they're right up there in all of college football.
Well, you know, last week Auburn threw the ball 11 times. That's almost unheard of in the modern day college football. But I'm going to tell you, the Petway kid, and he was a second team running back to start the season, but he's averaging over 100 yards a game. And the Johnson kid,
he's going to be well tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. So I just wonder if they're going to come up with some kind of plan to get them both in the football game at the same time. Both great running backs. Petway is just a load. He's 6'2", 240. If you ever want to see a shadow of Mark Henry, take a look at Petway, because
in the preseason, Auburn not settled on a quarterback. Not so much now.
They are now. White's done a good job throwing the football, Jim. His percentage, of course, 11 times this week. I think it was 12 times a week prior. They don't have to. They throw it now because they want to. And that makes a lot of difference. And but again, when you got two horses back here in that backfield like those guys, and every once in a while, you know, Sean Weiler run the football. He had about a 40-yard run and a 20-something yard run. I think the only two times he ran the football. The offensive line is giving him ample time to throw the thing. They got some good kids who receive the football. So Auburn's got a pretty good football team. They have really come from the outhouse to halfway up to the penthouse.
Well, there's much more talk now about the possibility of Auburn upsetting Alabama in the Iron Bowl, and should they beat Ole Miss tomorrow night, which the numbers say that they're certainly favored, that'll even add more fuel to the fire as we get closer and closer to the Iron Bowl. Of course, Alabama's got to beat LSU too, so but that West is still open for the Auburn Tigers.
It is, Jim, and I'm gonna tell you, you know, you look at what Georgia's done. They've sort of fell on some hard times. Vanderbilt, if they get by Ole Miss, they got a pretty good run at being just with two losses when they get to Tuscaloosa. Can they beat Alabama? Yes, they can. The numbers won't say it. The odds makers probably won't say it. But it's going to be a good football game if Auburn stays healthy. I think they can compete with Alabama now. You'll get a better judgment of it after tomorrow night's game with the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss put up about 20-something odd points, maybe 30-something, whatever it was. They put a lot of points on the defense of Alabama. So I think this will be a good measuring stick just to see how good Auburn is.
Remember, they were up 21-0 against Alabama. But Toots' Tips 59-24, 9-3 last week, and we didn't put many ringers in here this week for you. You're going to have to work a little bit.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and
boy, that's scary.
you ain't the only one that ever told me that. But again, it's been a good year for college football. There was a ball game on last night, and it was back and forth, Pitt and West Virginia. Virginia Tech. Yeah. Who won it? You know?
You didn't stay up.
I did not make it.
I didn't either, but Virginia Tech won. Well, 39-36.
I knew it was going to be close. That was one of them deals where whoever had the ball last probably won the football game. But anyway.
All right, got to go. Toots' Tips. We'll be back with you next Friday morning, brought to you by the Huddle House. See you Monday night over there, okay?
Something bad don't happen.
All right, back with more Daybreaker after this.